Here's another photograph from when I was driving around the lakes. It's not far from the last video if you saw the last one. In fact, the car's parked just slightly behind where I took this view. Right, going right off, you got Windermere somewhere over there. So let's have a quick look at the materials. The usual palette. See these colours here I squeezed out last night, so basically, like I say, squeeze them out and then let them to dry, and then they're ready to go the next day. You can use them fresh out the tube if you want, it's entirely up to you. I do it like this so that I can sort of whiz around the palette and I don't pick up great big dollops of paint. Plus you don't waste any this way. It's always there, it's ready to use. If you use it fresh, then obviously at the end of the painting session you're going to have some dried up. That's why I started doing it like this. But always have them arranged the same way: ultramarine, lemon yellow, Payne's grey, alizarin crimson, raw sienna, burnt umber and light red. 3 brushes, large ache, number 3 rigger, 3/4 inch flat. We've got our water tissue, 15 by 11 Fabriano, and then on the top of the easel is where I'll let the tea towel dry. So I'm going to start off using the large ache. I'm just going to have a bit of raw sienna and then just pop that all over. And I'm going to clean the brush. I'm going into ultramarine, a bit of Payne's grey, and then I'm just brushing in, sort of dancing around the page. Just sort of hit and miss, and you end up with loads of random effects going on the paper. Just wiping some of that, see where I've just wet it slightly too much, so I'm trying to just gather some of that paint that's running down the page. And I'm just brushing in some of the colour further down the paper, just so you get some sort of reflection off the sky. Bit of, you know, colour harmony and all that. I'm going to give that a quick dry. Not bone dry, but just enough to stop the paint from running down any further. And then same 2 colours, sort of leaning towards blue for those distant hills over there. There's one there and that comes down like that and then it sort of goes off like that. And there's a slightly nearer one like that. Sort of like that, and then less water, more paint, stronger mix now. More raw sienna, more ultramarine. And then we got a sort of big hill now, it comes across like that. And then down there and then up there, a bit like that. Now as it's getting closer, I'm going into a bit of lemon yellow, raw sienna, just trying to vary it as I come down there. Keep varying the colour, stops it from getting boring. So I haven't got much water now on the brush, it's getting quite dry, so I'm not dipping into the water. So you see, hence one of the consequences is the hairs start to separate, but that doesn't matter at this stage because I'm only doing this land mass. And then just going from one colour to the next. So raw sienna, put that in. Bit of lemon yellow, put that in. You can see how it's changing from as we come down. Just keeps it interesting. Go into the ultramarine and maybe just fill in some of those white gaps. You don't have to fill them all in. See, obviously the drier the brush, the less it comes off onto the paper. So I'm just working down now because the road sort of comes around like that, and then you've got the hedge on that side, and then so I don't really need to come down much lower than that. So just a little bit more. Now what I'm going to do, I want to put in some distant trees and stuff, so I'm just going to dip just the tips in to bring the hairs back together, and then take the excess off on the lip of the jar. And you can see now I'm back to a chisel edge. Not too wet, but then again it's just, you want it just wet enough just to hold the hairs together basically. See how it's separated there, so I've just dipped the tips in again, pulled it back out, brought them back together, and then you just sort of, it's a case of trial and error. Just keep practicing, eventually you'll be able to go like that and the hairs will stay together. It's just getting just enough water on the brush so that you can do that. Once you've conquered that, it'll become so much easier. And then maybe just a bit of, so I just want to darken this a bit, so a bit of Payne's grain there as well. And then just pop in some of these just very distant trees, so they only want to be very, very narrow, and they're just sort of breaking up the landmass between the different farmers' fields. Don't need too much, just a very light touch, a bit more paint. More down there. Now we've got a few trees down here, so again, nice dark greeny colour. I'm just using the corner of the brush, just the corner of the brush, to create a few trees there. And you can always get your fingernail and just flick a few tree trunks. Just gives the impression of a few trees. Now, paper stretched a little bit, so I'm just going to pull it tight now and refix it on the right hand side. So the paper's flat again. Just watch for the little reservoirs of water that build up at the bottom of the page. Now I'm going to start on the left, starting on the left. I haven't bothered cleaning the brush because I want a dark colour anyway, so leave the green on there. And just go into burnt umber. And again you can see I've got just enough water on there just so that the hairs stay together when I go into the colour. But obviously not too water. I can always go like that, lift my palette upside down and there's no water dripping off. That way your colours will just get too washed out when you use too much water. And it does make it harder because these brushes hold so much water. It takes a bit of mastering, but stick with it. And it will be worth it in the end. In fact, there's a few trees there first, so yeah, another way of doing trees. Nice chisel edge, nice dark colour, and then just flick up like that, as if you're using chopsticks or something like that. That's all you're doing, just flicking it up and down like that. And obviously I've done it there because I didn't want to do it there because that's too dark now. I'll get no contrast. This is a little bit lighter behind, so I'll get more of a, you'll be able to see the stripes better. So again, it's just flicking it up. When the paint runs out, just twist the brush around, use the other edge. Turn the brush around, use the other side. Just a very quick way of doing a whole load of trees in one go. And that's coming down to a, that's going to be the top of the road there, so I just want that nice and level. The next one I'm going to do is this hedge on the left. So I've gone into burnt umber, ultramarine, and then it's sort of make this. Now these are like bricks and stuff, stones going off. Now because they're stones, I might try and just create a sort of little stony effect. Just using the card. Because the paint's quite thick, I can go straight and I haven't got to wait for it to dry or nothing. And then obviously as they get smaller and smaller as the bridge, not the bridge, the wall goes off. Now I'm scraping out every single brick. I'm just suggesting a few, just so that you get the gist. The viewer, anyone looking at the painting will get the idea of what it is. And then there's the same on the other side. That comes round there, and you got to. It sort of comes round like that. Bit of burnt umber. Obviously, remember in perspective, it gets smaller and smaller as it goes off away from us. And again, is that? It's not actually a wall, that, but I'm just going to make it look like a. Well, I'll try and make it look like a wall anyway. Just a few bricks, stones, just here and there, just to give the impression. Leave plenty of dark areas. You just stone them every now and again. And obviously they get smaller and smaller as they go away. And then on top of that, I'm trying to clean the brush now because it's getting all a bit muddy. It's like a big, thick, really thick edge. But I'm just gonna. It's a bit darker than that. Does that look like a big, thick privet? I don't know. It's a bit darker, I think. I'll see how that looks when it's finished. Clean the brush. I've got a bit of grass down here. I'll stick a bit of grass down here as well. And I might actually stick this road in there. I've painted around it long enough. So I've cleaned the brush, going light red and a bit of ultramarine. Not so much water. And I'm going to just give it a quick sweep. Yeah, it's a bit, comes out a bit more than that, so. Something like that, roads like that. Clean the brush. Now we've got a big, some foreground rocks right in our faces. If I just start putting them in there, something like that, I'm just giving ultramarine and burnt umber, a bit of Payne's grey, some real dark stuff there. Just fill that corner in. These are just sort of rocks. And then we make a little bit more like rocks with our little plastic card. So just pull it down and then you got just like that. That'll do, don't want to overdo it. And then amongst that you got like little bits of green mossy stuff I can see growing on it. So I've cleaned it, dried it, and then into the lemon yellow. Just the lemon yellow on its own, and then just some greeny bits. greeny bits in there. And there's also a few little twigs and stuff coming off it. So I've switched to the rigger, and then there's little bits of grasses and stuff growing off this rocky bit. Plenty of water on your rigger, it doesn't hold much paint. I just generally hold it again, just hold it like that and flick it up like that, something like that, so you get a nice sort of random effect. I'll just fill this white area in the foreground. It's sort of gravelly. Let's see, just a bit of raw sienna and Payne's grey. I think the edge of these rocks need a bit more defining. So I've just gone in again back into the dark colours, burnt umber, ultramarine, and just reinforce that edge there. And then again, right in the very foreground now, we've got some big grasses. So I've gone plenty of paint, lots of water with the rigger. And these ones come right up. Don't be afraid to paint over your background. Yeah, a big one going off, something like that. And a big one up there. There's a couple of big ones up there. And I think, last but not least, a little figure walking off somewhere will do. It's quite dark, that is. I don't know if it's going to maybe if I do him lighter, take the paint off rather than put it on. Let's see how it looks. I don't know how it's going to work out. It's just little figure there, and then it's just a little bit of colour on him. That'll do. Something like that. Here it is. And then finally, in fact, what I might do, I'm not that struck on these bits things there. I might just stick a few leaves on them. I think I've overdone it slightly really on those. I should have been a bit more subtle, but I'll see if it looks any better with a few little It's a dry brush. Scuff the ends up and then just go into whatever colours you want. Something like that, stick a few on there. Back to the rigger. Couple of birds up in the sky. And then finally pick a dry corner and stick your signature down there. That one's finished. So let's have a look. Let's just compare it to the photograph, see what it looks like. So here's the photograph again. You see it started off as usual with the sky and the distant land. Tried to vary the colour of the land as I've come down to varying degrees of success. You see quite a nice effect with the trees there. Just flicking up the chisel edge take helps create that. I'm not sure about the figure, but never mind. Yeah, I mean these I went a bit overboard with these bush tree things on the left, but they don't look too bad. Well, thanks for watching. Keep practicing. Any questions please ask, and I'll see you again soon.